Alright, so starting this demo review for Scourge. Cam. Alright. Gets to 260. Smithers should be buffing you more right here, definitely, because that gets you to health less than 100 health, which on this rollout you should always be getting to with around 100. Nothing wrong with how you fought the soldier right there, but definitely you could have been double sticking after you got that initial stick out and you didn't see that their demo was there, because at that point, if you're that much faster than him, you just have free control over how that mid fight's gonna go, especially for your team. And instead of walking down mid, walking just across a point like that, when you only saw their soldier, and from Megu you probably heard another call that they just weren't there at all. You could have asserted yourself on the left side and just prevented the soldier and the other scouts from getting up there at all. Good spam, especially with the Iron Bomber. The stickies could be placed in a bit of a better trap, because they can get blown away just like that, especially if they try to Uber through. And having more stickies in one spot just lets you fuck up the jump of whoever's trying to get through a lot more. I don't, because this is STV, I can't actually see how much ammo you loaded. But yeah, in that case, I would actually just get my traps and then relay them, because they know the traps haven't been, your stickies haven't been dead yet, and so they can call for a soldier to just jump through the really sloppy stickies. Especially now that we knew that they were a man down, you could have been spamming a lot harder. And in this fight specifically, you had 3 or 4 stickies still loaded, and you wouldn't have even need to pull out your pipe launcher in that case if you just kept shooting them. Especially as you went over, if you locked out that scout from walking underneath Spire in the mid too, you know, that fight could have went a lot better with a lot more people out. Instead here, I think Dog just ends up DMing everyone to death. Yeah, which is, I'm being super fucking nitpicky about this whole thing too. We're not gonna talk about those. Especially, yeah. So you really shouldn't have been building, especially when you knew they had all 6 up and they had more than enough time to start building their players up and everything. If you're walking into a mid where a soldier can jump around, can have a big bomb like that off a rollout, you should always expect it to come in if you get off forwards like that. Here you do end up putting a lot better stickies down, but it's the same case, just like how that guy, the same guy that jumped was probably the same guy that fired the rocket that blew those stickies on door away. If you hit him up on the wall right here where it goes diagonal next to sewer, could have been a better location. And especially in these lower tiers, if the soldiers only know how to really jump off a pipe, then you can just throw a single sticky on that wall, and when they get ready to jump, even if they're Ubered, it completely stuffs them. Good job on being on staying out of the Uber and getting your shit reloaded before you needed to actually start doing damage. But in this case, I would have tried to back out with the med more, and I think we left through 1 here, or we regressed. But that's just a combo issue and a call-in issue on my part. Yeah, so you saw the sticky for a good effect on that soldier, and you saw one of the scouts firing him, but then you decided to shut up the scout. The scout might have been the more immediate threat for you, but that soldier already had a good chunk of damage done to him, and it would have, you know, you wouldn't have wasted the life of whoever the guy bombed and that scout on the floor. Yeah, like see where that one sticky you have up on the wall right there? Having a little bit further to the left above the pipe is a great way to just fuck with whoever tries to jump through there. Especially if they're lower levels and everyone still kind of does the same jump. Because this guy did it just now. He doesn't really... They can only really jump from so many angles in these lower levels. This was definitely one of those independent call situations where if you called just deep bomb with 2 stickies deep and try to get Alex out of there alive and then have him get flashed too, that definitely would have been the wrong. That definitely wouldn't have been the wrong play. But also just backing up as soon as you lost that that second scout too would have been a good call. Because DM wise, it looks like you guys are on par for about this team. Something you could have done against that soldier was just spam iron bombers at him and then keep sticking off the point, especially if the fight, especially if the Uber exchange didn't go our way. Those stickies there were kind of half-assedly. You could have placed him closer to upper lobby because I think we still were fighting the guy in there, but it was small shit. The traps could definitely be better. Putting it inside the up along the wall where the metal and health spawn and rollout would have been a better spot, and also just up against the actual bottom of the shutter, because if someone's shooting it, that's time and ammo that they're not wasting looking at you, and you're not really doing much either. You're just idly standing there. You could always be getting out some good spam out toward top of rollout or in lobby, through lobby. But yeah, Smithers is not really buffing everyone, and that's a big mistake. Yeah, and especially like that, when you had 3 people stacking, you saw the beam over in lobby, that would have been the prime time to start throwing your sticks that way and getting good spam in there. Maybe even calling for a focus fire in lobby. Try to get them out of it. Try to force them out. You still haven't rotated the traps out yet. And this is definitely not wrong for, you know, moving the fight over here. But you could have done it from much farther away if you just charged your stickies more accurately. Because lobbing them, you know, it's not going to work, especially in that range. You definitely could have been. You definitely could have stopped that soldier from getting the medium health back from on the ground in last, instead of actually having to walk into the lobby for it, or spammed them with iron bomber pipes. Small thing I'm noticing with how you trap doorways. I've been you tend to put them away from the forward edge of the doorway, you know, the side that's closest to you, and a lot of times that isn't as effective because, you know, the soldier's going to be trying to take the shortest route and get up in the air as fast as possible, and you lose out on that damage. And if the doorway's positioned correctly, you can end up launching that soldier into your face, and if he's Uber, it's a bad day for you. Yeah, definitely a case in here. You should have been shooting a lot more stickies out. You did not need to aggress with the iron bomber. Reloading, even if you didn't have anything loaded, reloading 1 or 2 stickies and getting them out, and then blocking yourself off from being walked upon, that would have been the smarter play. And I wouldn't know how to affect the last fight in that case, but it definitely keep you alive longer. Ooh, a little bit of lag right there. You get to, and this is where the health would have came into play, because that soldier could have easily just killed you right there with those 2 spam rockets, but he just missed them. Walking across the point, like I said, in an actual team fight where both of the teams are on mid, or great effect, as you just saw right there. You dick both their soldiers with the pipe and the sticky. Right there, instead of reloading your iron bomb, you could have lended a hand spamming out, especially when they were still 2 or 3 down. But now that they're starting to get fresh spawns and everything, the effect was wasted. I don't want to keep writing you for the Iron Bomber issue, but the Sticky's up on rollout because we knew you, or at least you had the information available that they had 2 soldiers spawning. So Sticky and rollout, if done first, could have prevented them from jumping in the first place. Fighting the soldier wasn't the wrong thing to do in that situation, especially because it kept your med up in when your guys were very unhealthy compared to their team. But sticking the point off would have, you know, ended the fight, the little scrabble they're going on. Yeah, and I don't think you got any buffs after the first jump on this rollout. Same thing here. You're gonna walk across point, but you know their demo was late. You heard him jump through choke and land and take damage, or at least I could hear it on my end. But he just doesn't show up. And so because he took the left side first, he's going to be able to aggress you out of your spot instead of the other way around, even though you got there, you know, 2 seconds ahead of him. And we eventually win the team fight just because we knew how to aggress it better. But efficiency's sake. Same thing again. You could have locked that scout out by just throwing sticks down, reloading the sticks instead of trying to Iron Bomber him. Yeah. Case like that scout, you had 3 stickies right there, and that scout got out with 65 health. And top of doorways are not that good unless you know there's something that people are going to be jumping through immediately. You didn't need stickies on point, but it's definitely a better habit to get into if you just start immediately laying them down when you get on the mid, especially if you kill whatever's looking your way. You definitely got more health this time, and you'll definitely see the difference. That's unfortunate. Slow mid. But yeah. Definitely nothing wrong with trying to stick you out the demo there because you know he's so fucking slow. And your sticks look like they were pretty spot on. Right there, same thing again with the issue. Same thing with the pipes. You're trying to use them a little bit too much. You might have been able to get greater effect out of your stickies. Yeah, we're super low health, so that was a good call to get to wait for see if one of your soldiers needed the pack first. But since it was Alex, he can't really do much with 100 health. If we didn't know that they were stacking the point like that, I would definitely be backing up all the way out to rollout. Maybe even then, I would be end up dropping 2 sticks and rollout and then spamming further down. And if they try to walk through choke and they don't immediately destroy those traps, you could sticky spam someone to grass to try to force them toward pipe and the trap you have right there, but don't det until they get close enough, one way or another. And that kind of corrals them and also makes them believe that you're just sticky spamming, so it looks like you're constantly deading or air deading, but in reality, you're just laying more sticks and controlling where they go. It's especially useful if they try to dry push or if they send like a 3-man sack through choke. It's especially useful in situations like that because someone's always going to be on the ground. I fed right here, and especially against this team and on this mid, on this map and this team, they always tended to have a person or 2 in sewer, so sticking the doors off definitely wouldn't have been the wrong idea. And the same thing with the traps. As you can see, the traps were just ineffective. All they did was give whoever you blew them up on more free time, more air time. Yeah. You could have gotten that scout kill if you had reloaded the stickies and prioritized them first. Manny bind, that's good. You hear them kind of close rollout and one. think anyone could have predicted the scout coming out, especially because I think it died now. Unless the one I missed the fucking 2 body shots on. 2 free shots on. You got close to full buff on this. Yeah, Megu got to mid first, or at least got to a better position first on mid. But because their team started playing a little bit more around you, just walking across point, they kind of ignored you. Your effect was greatly minimized. And once you blew your first like 5 or 6 stickies, they have free reign, especially with how much you're taking on the Iron Bomber. Getting out is never bad, but you definitely could have just dropped sticks on point or thrown some in the air because you saw that soldier walking into a position where he would have been able to jump on the point from. Yeah, and that's the biggest reason with not putting sticks on the floor. You can't death them fast enough, or if you do, they won't have an effect because the shredder's still partially down. Here, Saint. Oh, you lagged out a little bit there. But yeah, 8 sticks on the point would have been a lot more effective than 4 pipes out. Hell, 4 pipes out onto the point is more effective than none. Yeah, and here you do start walking left, but this was the one time we were not fast enough to mid. Megu was slow and Alex couldn't jump, and we got fucking punished for this. We lose a lot of health really early on, and the only reason we get out is because their med kept fucking up arrows and wasn't beaming people. And so they all just kind of sat near Big Rock, as you saw. And then I think we get wrapped from behind. Yeah. Which is whatever, their flank or their player had better positioning on us. But yeah. I don't know who was fighting this this Easton the chef guy, but if that was the flank handling them, we could have definitely prevented that from happening if we got the locations called out. I know Colin likes to call behind us and whatnot a lot, but that's really not useful, especially in a context of mid. You just don't. There's so many angles. Right here, I can't see any sticks that you have out. I don't think you have any anyway because you just aired that on one of your stickies. Yeah, you had 8 loaded stickies, man. You could have ended both that soldier and that scout before they even had the chance to shoot you. That's a little risky, especially when you hear the pyro and the probably an Uber call going out. You definitely could have lended a big hand into stopping their progress into wherever the fuck they came through. And that's just an issue of being a little bit too aggressive. That's a trend I've been noticing so far throughout this is there's a little bit too much aggression applied at the wrong time. Especially on last holds. That's a context where unless it's literally do or die and you're the only man up, you should be backing away from the point in most cases and just getting stickies out onto the stickies and spamming the point. Because you're infinitely more useful as the demonstration man, dealing damage than you are dead. Yeah, this is, yeah, we really if you had the sticky launchers out, man, you could have definitely been doing a lot more damage, and we'd have a lot greater effect with that push. We might have still bled a fuck ton of people. Well, we definitely could have won the fight if we had stickies out. Because I had the same problem too when I was mainly demo. I spent way too long. I spent a lot of time in DM servers, and that's why I picked up the habit to use my pipe launcher so much. But in the end, it ended up hurting me more than it did, benefiting my DM, especially in an actual game. And that was a kind of do want to say it was a little bit of a dumb position to be in. You had almost nothing loaded, maybe one or two sticks loaded. You kind of had traps out in front of you, but if someone peeked close to that doorway, you would have been dead. We'd be down a demo man on their dry push. Yeah, same thing again. You're getting a little bit too aggressive, and I did notice you lagged out there a little bit, but you're getting way too aggressive from almost inside lobby. You can be charging up those sticks and just sending them out, or just spamming with the iron bomber because the pills don't roll as much. Is this where we end the game? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, unfortunate. But yeah, so yeah, I can't fault your DM. It's better than most of the demos we've been fighting, but the way you apply it alongside your aggression just ends up losing a lot of damage in the fights that you are in. So just try to keep your sticky launcher out and prioritize, reloading your sticky launcher and only getting one, maybe two sticks out reloaded and out, rather than trying to spam your iron bomber or launch two pipes out of an iron bomber, because the damage, the effect is twofold, especially with the damage and the area of denial, because most people will just ignore an iron bomber roller on the floor, especially if they're buffed or even just full health. Yeah. Controlled aggression is a big thing, especially with the demo man, especially with the demo that actually knows how to where to place sticks. If you were able to tap into a little bit of passiveness especially on those mid fights where you saw you weren't doing that much damage, your stickies were just kind of sitting on the floor and they weren't going anywhere near them. Just deading those, or just spamming, wherever the hell people were calling damage calls, and letting them dead as they may, would have been the right call. Holding last and second. Once you get good traps up, your iron bomber, it's a free mini sticky bomb essentially, and you need to be using that to a better effect. A lot of times you'll end up kind of spamming close, trying to get a miracle pipe on, but especially if you can jump up or if you're close enough to choke where you can see over it, all you end up doing is just whiffing 9 pipes or 4 pipes into the ground because no one's around. And so even just trying to spam it out toward IT will definitely help on anyone trying to fight there, especially with how deep Megu and Collins try to get. And it could also corral the combo or whatever players that might be on the concrete pad closer to IT. That way the flank is able to farm a little bit harder. Yeah, and hate to keep pointing out the trap, the whole sticky launcher over iron bomber thing, but it's a really big habit to break. If you can break this, a lot of improvement would come overnight if you were able to break this. Yeah, you're sticky spamming, and it feels kind of dumb to just M1, M2, and it feels like you're not having too much effect, but the damage you put out with it is so crucial, especially in team fights. Yeah. So just to kind of wrap it up, getting better traps, looking at demos, or just kind of, playing around with them in game is totally fine. Especially if you notice that their soldiers or scouts are like to poke a flank in a certain way, or a flank that the combo is holding close to, like Valley on Sunshine or Sewer and Process in this case. Experimenting with traps there, and also making use of trying to force use out of your traps by corralling them, because most of the time you should only ever really have 6 stickies out or so, because if you have all 8 out, that means if you do have a trap and you need to get stickies out to protect yourself from a bomber or a scout coming through flank or through choke. Deading that trap means, well, now they know there's a trap there, and having those 2 stickies out might be enough of a deterrent for them to walk closer to your trap on accident, especially because they're watching it land at their feet, and that could lead to however much damage or kills you manage to get off of that, especially in like floody type chokes like a process, because the whole team will come through choke, or most of the team will come through choke, but they never get too far away from it, and they never get too far away from your traps until they're actually like pushing a second essentially. So after traps, just working on their aggression. Your aggression isn't necessarily misplaced in most cases, except for maybe on the mid fights. You could get a little bit inventive with how you approach them, other than just a left or right as I saw in process. But prioritizing your sticky launchers while you're being aggressive would definitely change the outcome of a lot of the fights that you had to enter in alone, and maybe with like 1 or 2 players still alive and around. And after that is just getting good spam. As you saw on last, you'd get your sticks down, and like going back to the traps, they weren't in very effective spots. They were in spots that people would either spot just by naturally peeking, or there's spots that they wouldn't have to peek, and you would have no time to react and det on them if they were trying to clear it, or if they ran through on accident and didn't bother checking. So yeah, because there was like I said, there's a lot of times where you could have spammed the Iron Bomber into lobby for free damage, but you instead chose to walk up to it with the sticky bomb launcher for more damage, and that was getting a little bit too greedy, and you got punished every single time for it. Either be it you died, or we had to pop and save you, or you had to get flashed by Smithers to save you. Pushing out of last on process should never really be a demo's job, especially through lobby. Definitely should be spamming in that direction, be it a charge sticky from like actual last, or spamming iron bomber pills. But it should never be your job to be in lobby and taking the Uber out of that, because you don't have the maneuver to jump if you need to jump deep if you need to, and it's very choky, so you just get juggled, and you don't have the ability to force your way through with movement. Like a soldier can rocket jump, and a scout can just double jump or just barrel through with the med when he's Ubered, and that makes way for you. That way you guaranteed have space, and you're able to walk into this fight and be like, yeah, I got stickies loaded, I'm gonna go fuck these guys at choke. Yeah, this is the first time I've done a recording like this in a long while, so if you got any tips, or you thought I was needling you a little bit too hard about that, yell at me. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening and watching, if you actually cared to. Yeah, sick.